Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Friday, the 20th of May, comes to you from London. And a bit more green on the screen today. On this screen in Updata Analytics, I'm running on Refinitiv Icon. Of course, in Updata, we're compatible with dozens of different data services. I could be running on Bloomberg, Trayport, but I'm running on multiple data services myself. So the key thing is I'm actually just looking at lots of different data sources, which enables me to analyze the markets. This is my weekly, my daily, and my 60-minute chart, and the corresponding point and figure targets for the long-term, medium-term, and short-term view. So starting with the dollar, still looking very strong. We've been saying for months now that 2022 would be the year of the dollar. And we've seen a very dramatic increase over the last 12 months. And that's continuing. We're making 20-year highs on the dollar index. And that's really driven by the weaker euro and weaker yen. But we are seeing just a little bit of a recovery this week in those currencies off the bottom. But we still do have very big downside targets, and look to our reports for those targets. Sterling sitting at 124.69 this morning. So again, looking a little bit stronger, bouncing off the bottom, but it's looking very weak on those medium and long-term charts with the corresponding targets. Cryptocurrencies have had a pretty tough week. Bitcoin breaking below the 30,000 level, more importantly breaking below the cloud and unwinding an upside target to $83,000. So we are seeing Bitcoin falling, and other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum falling as well. I sold mine a few weeks back. Looking at the S&P 500 index, we're down 0.6%, and we are still very much in bearish mode on all three time frames. The cloud on the weekly, we're just through on the price. Downside targets, they've been hanging there for ages, and again, those have been in our reports. The Nasdaq also just looking very weak. Downside targets some 20% lower still, so markets very much in free fall. Does look like we'll open higher today. The futures on the S&P future are up 1% and up 1.5% on the Nasdaq E-mini. So we are going to see some bear closing this week as well. And the VIX volatility has dropped back below the 30 level. The fear index not looking as fearful. In Germany, we're seeing the DAX up 1.3%, so markets really just recovering some ground, and in Asia, much the same. We're seeing here the Shanghai index bouncing, but still in bearish mode on these charts. So we're just seeing some short-term respite. The Indian market up 2.5%. Again, just seeing some respite. That March low really quite critical on the Sensex, and we can see we're just rolling over here. So those downside targets are a bit worrying. We'll look at the energy mix in a minute. Soft commodities looking stronger this morning as well. Wheat really getting ready for that new high. That upside target some 17% higher, and we've now got a very big upside target here if we activate that. Again, we'll be putting out our monthly report next week to clients, so keep an eye out for that. Looking at gold, we're sitting at 1845, so bouncing off that 1800 level, looking a little bit better and finding cloud support there as well. Of course, we've got these long-term upside targets for gold, but we just have to wait for it to get going. Looking at US 10-year yields, sitting at 2.86%, so pulling back there as well, but again, long-term targets are very much higher. The energy mix, a lot of red on the screen this morning in energy. We are seeing Brent crude. This is my daily and my 60-minute chart, my 60-minute charts, and then my 1-minute chart. So this is my very short term. This is what we use for the daily reports out to clients in the morning. And we're seeing here, we do have upside targets, but we're not quite through the cloud. Hence, we were neutral. Same is true for WTI. US nat gas is actually just testing that $8 level. And again, we were neutral here, but the trend long term is looking very strong indeed. And then there are, excuse me, some big upside targets as well. Bob this morning, again, just pushing to new highs, looking strong for a recovery through the cloud there. And carbon emissions really just testing lows there back in that trading range. This 80-90 trading range is really significant, and we've got to wait for a break. Gas prices lower this morning. We've got TTF down 2%. So that's really quite interesting. Mixed targets there. and NBP down 7.5%. So again, just starting to break below the cloud there. So that's just pushing pressure on the price as well. German power is actually down, but the power chart still looks very strong in trend. And if we look to other energy markets, looking at across Europe, we did pull back last night on energy, but and this data is coming from OTC Global Holdings. We supply this data as standard in our professional and enterprise products, and so here we see we've got lots of upside targets still on UK power, and notice how these targets have been met. So it's really quite key. French power just looking really strong still. Dutch power similarly, we've got upside targets. All these markets trending and looking quite similar, so really quite interesting. Italian power, again, we've got upside targets there. Spanish power is an interesting one. We're just sort of pulling back a little bit and just going into a bit more of a range, and we do have a downside target not yet activated, but again, really quite strong, these trends. Polish power, the same. We go right through Swiss, Hungarian, Romanian. We can look at all these markets, even Greek power, just pulling back a little bit there, not looking as strong. Anyway, that's it for today. Until Monday, have a great weekend. Happy charting. See you then.